Here are some additional chart features in Excel. We got 3 examples on the screen. Let's take a look at this first one here. Sometimes when you chart data, Excel gets a little bit confused over what it should do with the information you present to it. If we highlight the year and the sales, now we want to create a chart that plots all of these figures per year. Now if we go to Insert and go to a column chart, a 2D column, one thing you'll notice here is the fact that it's got a little bit confused. It's plotting each column to be the numbers, but it's also trying to plot the year because it sees those as number values and not necessarily the year. Then it tries to plot them. Now we need to get rid of that. Now to do this, what we can do is go to our Select Data button. You'll find this on the Chart Design ribbon or Design ribbon. If this isn't here, that's because you haven't got your chart selected. You must have the chart selected to bring up these ribbon bars. So Chart Design, select Data, and if you have a look in this box, the first thing we want to do is to get rid of what we're actually plotting here. Now you'll notice we've got the year and the sales, so we don't want the year. So we can highlight that and remove. That will update the chart. We're now plotting just the sales. The problem we've got here is with this horizontal axis. It's still treating these as 1, 2, 3, 4. We can change that by clicking on the Edit for the horizontal category labels. Edit. It's asking where the labels are. In other words, the wording we want to appear as title labels on this horizontal axis. With our mouse clicked in the field, we come over here and we highlight all the years, and you'll see that places those as labels. Click OK and OK, and there is your chart plotting each year. The next one looks at this Wembley Stadium ticket sales. Now there are occasions when you want a dual axis chart, and this is how you perform the dual axis. If we have a look here, we've got all of the tickets sold for the year divided into quarters, and we want to plot that. However, we have 2 columns, one for the ticket sales in monetary value and one with ticket sales for the actual number of tickets sold. Now we can't plot both of these on the same axis. Now this is how you do this. You begin by creating a standard chart, highlighting all of the data. We go to Insert. Just create a standard 2D column chart. Now when we do that, you'll notice that it's done what we asked it to do. It's plotting both sets of values against the primary axis on the left hand side, and that's because it doesn't realize that the tickets sold, these red columns, are not monetary value. In other words, we haven't sold just over £3.5 million worth of ticket sales. So this is a simple case of getting these red columns that represent the tickets sold to be plotted against a separate scale on the right hand side. This is called a secondary axis, and the way we do this is you select any one of the columns that you want plotted on a secondary axis. If we right click our mouse over that and go down to Format Data Series, on the panel that comes up on the right, you'll notice it gives me an option of plotting all those red columns either on the primary or a secondary axis. If I choose secondary, you'll see we suddenly get a secondary axis. Look at the values. These values here are for the actual tickets sold, and on the left hand side are the monetary value of the tickets sold. Now that's the first part, but of course it doesn't look very useful when we've got two columns stacked on top of one another. What we'll do is we'll change these red columns into a different chart type. And we do this once again by right clicking on one of those red columns, going down to change series chart type. So we're not changing the entire chart, just the series. This will bring up a panel, and when you look to the bottom you can choose which chart type you have for each of these. So on the red one, the tickets sold, instead of a clustered column, we shall choose another one and we'll go for a line. Click OK. You can now see that we have the actual tickets sold plotted via the red line. Now everything such as formatting learned in earlier courses you can change to make the appearance a lot cleaner. And that's called a 2 y-axis chart. The final one we want to look at is when you want to have a set of data that may expand and you want it to automatically expand a chart. That way, once you've plotted a chart, you don't have to touch it and edit the area that you're plotting every time a new month comes along, or another year, or another salesperson comes along. If you have a look at this chart down here, it's got our sales reps and the figures for January and February. Because I know that during the year we're going to be adding extra columns over here for March and April, we also add extra members of staff that join the company throughout the year down here. So what we do is, before we create a chart based on this area, we convert this to a table. If you've never done a table conversion before, you click in your data, it doesn't matter where, you just click anywhere in that data set. On your home ribbon, you'll see that there's a button called Format as Table. You choose a table style. It will come up with a box asking if your table includes headers. As you can tell, ours does have headers along the top row, so we'll leave that ticked. Click OK. It's now converted this to a table. Now, tables have many useful features, but we're not here to look at the table features. We're using the table because we know it's what we call a dynamic range. If we now create a chart based on that area, insert ribbon, choose a 2D column. Let's just move this to one side so we can see both the chart and our data. And we'll move this down to the bottom. Now you'll notice that our chart is here, it's got our sales reps, and it's also got the months that we're plotting. However, during the year, and this could be on a different sheet, if we add another month, March, you'll notice immediately the chart adds March. If we type in some numbers, it begins to add extra columns to each sales rep. This is totally automated. If we add a new employee, James, you'll notice immediately he's added here. And here you can see the data is applied.